expanding the scope of the sanctions, we will be able to target those responsible for exploiting vulnerable migrants and for facilitating illegal border crossing into the EU. It will affect quite an important number. I cannot precise the number, and certainly not the persons and entities, but the package has been politically adopted.
For more, let's cross now to Brussels and correspondent Dave Keating. Dave, already we're hearing of one private carrier in Syria, Sham Wings, which says it's stopping flights because of those humanitarian conditions.
Yeah, it appears that the threat of sanctions against third country airlines and entities has had an effect of a lot of them just voluntarily stopping these flights. So over the weekend, the European Commission told us that Turkish Airlines had agreed to stop one-way flights to Minsk for people from Syria, Iraq, and Yemen. There's been similar noises for Aeroflot in Russia and also airlines from the UAE. So the hope was really that these airlines would just voluntarily do this, because for these third country airlines, it isn't so much an accusation that they are purposefully involved in human trafficking here, but just that they've turned a blind eye to what Belarus is doing. And that is, according to the EU and most international observers, granting would-be migrants easy access to Belarus through facilitated visas, through advertising to them, come on over to Belarus and we'll bring you over to the Polish border and let you enter the European Union. So a lot of the airlines that have been involved in those flights, but perhaps not fully aware or perhaps looking the other way, have now said they'll voluntarily end. So the big question is whether or not the EU will eventually decide to keep sanctions on the table for those third country airlines and companies, just to make sure that they really do end those one-way flights to Belarus. But when it comes to Belarus's own airline, Belavia, or its suppliers, and also the people and companies involved in this human trafficking, that is still very much on the table.
Yeah, and just to be clear, these sanctions are still a work in progress.
Yeah, they are. I mean, we were thinking we were going to get the list of actual sanctioned people and entities today. Foreign ministers are meeting in Brussels, but in the end, we didn't get that. Now, it's a little unclear why we didn't get that. They did adopt the legal basis for expanding the sanctions against Belarus. So now the existing sanctions were for Belarus's disputed presidential election last year and also its brutal crackdown on the protests to that fraudulent election. They had to expand the legal basis so that they could add human trafficking as the reason for putting sanctions. They could have adopted a list today. They didn't. The EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs, Josep Borrell, just finished a press conference. He was asked, why is this taking so long? Why didn't you agree today? And he said it's going to take time to get everyone's positions ready here and to find a middle ground. That seemed to suggest that there was some kind of conflict between the EU foreign ministers about who exactly to sanction here. That may be this question about whether to broaden this out to third countries. Or it may be that the EU foreign ministers decided to leave this open a little bit longer because they are getting those voluntary agreements from the third country airlines, and they figure, let's keep the threat on the table another couple days so that we can get as much voluntary commitment as we can here and not immediately announce our sanctions today. Borrell did say that the actual list of who is being sanctioned will come in the next few days. So we'll see. We could expect that maybe Wednesday, I think. But certainly the legal basis has been adopted to actually put forward those sanctions.
Dave Keating reporting live from Brussels. Many thanks.